but not least, we have Anders from Sintef, who will have a few words before we take a break, and then we go into the panel discussion.
Great. Thank you, Nick, for inviting me in, and thank you guys for showing up. Realizing that I'm the only one between yourself and the bar, I'll try to do this fairly quickly. My goal here today is to bring a bit of a sort of a color and perspective into this discussion, both covering a little bit about where we are on research on AI in Norway today, but also trying to bring sort of some practical evidence of value creation, because I think we talk about sort of the ethical aspects, personal data, all like the sort of big potentials, but also the big issues that comes with it. We're working quite extensively with Norwegian businesses on using AI for actual value creation. So I want to show some examples of that as a backdrop. Starting out on the research scene in Norway on AI. I don't know to which extent you know that, but there are mainly two big sort of collectives working on this research. It's NORA, which involves Uni of Oslo, Oslo Met, and several other organizations around the country, doing a lot of great stuff on fairly fundamental research on AI. And the other one is Norwegian Open AI Lab, which is something that Sintef and NTNU has pulled together. We are teaming up with a lot of big corporations like Equinor, Telenor, DNB, DNVGL, Kongsberg, and so on. And recently we also have Handelshøyskolen and Norsk Regnesentral in on the team. So we have a very, say, a broad set of capabilities, a lot of muscle. We both have like the research side, but also a lot of use or experience from actual use cases. So we talk a lot about explainability. It's really a core thing, like Lars mentioned. And I'm to some extent agree with you, Luke, on this black box aspects. But we really try to find good ways to make complex systems understandable, because we really believe that is core. We also looked quite a bit into facial recognition, as was pointed out. I mean, it's super useful in so many ways. It's a little bit scary, you know, but we really think it's quite useful, particularly for salmon. So we have some master students up at NTNU that has worked extensively on identifying salmon. And apparently the key here is to look for the dots on the side of the head, which is really a good sort of identifier for individual salmon. And I mean, this is sort of not that dangerous, right? I mean, here we can use the same technology, but for stuff that really is useful. And why is it useful? Well, in Sintef we do a lot of research together with fish farmers on, I mean, how do you get the fish to grow as fast as possible? How do you avoid giving it too much food? How do you sort of avoid over-medicining the stuff? And how do you make sure that the fish have a great time, right? Because we really want to have a humane approach to growing food. And we think that is really where we bring something unique to the table. Because obviously we have all this technical expertise, right? It's a lot of people in Norway that is really good at AI technologies on ML. Like a lot of sort of the data scientists and AI guys as much as is needed. Also the other way around, to teach the people from the business side enough about AI so that these guys can effectively collaborate. Really crucial, because like a number of people together and they're not able to communicate in a good way, it's really difficult to produce in a better way. So they're banding together, reaching out to Sintef, and we are now doing projects where we really try to understand how can we get more value out of their operation. So, like in one of the practical examples we're looking into is these furnaces. It's pretty warm stuff. They're melting silicon. So here, I mean, like the safety aspects are not really related to individuals, right? It's not related to whether or not someone's personal data is lost, but you really make the right decisions when you do all this. Starting out using AI for operators running the plants. But the long-term goal here is to do what we call ML in the loop. Right? So we want existing infrastructure in a better way. Because the reality is that the airports in Europe are pretty much full, right? There's really no more capacity, and people are just keep flying and flying. So are there things we can do to sort of reduce delays, increase the throughput, and reduce stuff like fuel consumption, because planes have to. There's a lot of improved operations to be had. And the other part is that the IT systems themselves are quite often not very sort of modern access to data. So we think it's a lot of potential. Moving towards the end, this is an example from stuff a Norwegian construction company. Actually, the building more polluting industries in the world, and it's not very digitized that way. So this example is from infrastructure projects, and if you've been driving up to the mountain where I come from, it's really cool to really see this in action and putting solutions on the ground that really helps the drivers to work more effectively. So it really boils down to a couple of sort of overall goals, right? We really want growth. We want competitive businesses. We want a government that can look after us. And this sort of puts strain on everything we have and do, but we want to be able to grow in a sustainable way. And to do that, we need to make the most of the resources that we have. So, 3 final takeaways before beer. AI, we would say it's always part of an ecosystem. Right? It's very seldom that we see AI as a simple thing that solves something. It's one of the tools in a big tool to make better decisions and run a business in a better way. So looking at it more as a tool than a sort of entity in itself. The value and the association normally comes from the application. Right? It comes from how it interacts with the rest of the world, not from the algorithms itself. And I think that's a good backdrop to discussions about regulations. I think this is, we really need to look at how AI is applied, because that is where it will have its effects. And the final one, we want to be open, right? We want to create stuff together. And I think I would encourage everyone to be as open as possible, because when we talk together, we find solutions, and we